It's time for today's Face-Off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams. Ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
We've had multiple mass shootings over the weekend and multiple mass shootings in the city of Philadelphia within the span of 4 days. We got to scrap the culture. We got to scrap the behaviors that's killing us. We got to change our way of thinking. We have to change our behaviors. This is unbelievable.
The 4th of July weekend is behind us. The statistics are in from Chicago, and it's another record-breaking weekend for gun violence, y'all. Record-breaking weekend. 52 people were shot in Chicago this weekend, guys. 52. 6 of those people are no longer demonic stronghold.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
Well, Cornell, I don't think that a demonic stronghold is the appropriate assessment of what's going on in Chicago on the 4th of July weekend, but I do think it's terribly horrifying. The same with Philadelphia. And in both those clips, there are a lot of people online referring to those as mass shootings. In the constant manipulation of crime data, Brandon Johnson, the former school teacher turned socialist mayor of Chicago, has been much ballyhooing that crime is down in Chicago. And of course, the left has long trumpeted the belief that white male conservatives are the greatest threat to this country. They do so by calling mass shootings instead multiple shootings, right? And changing how they're coded in the thing. But things are out of control. And it's a stark contrast from Eric Adams, the mayor of New York's policies that are not at all supported by the horrible district attorney in Manhattan, Alvin Bragg. But what Eric Adams has done during his tenure is aggressively push forward with law enforcement protocols to suppress crime. And so on the 4th of July this year, for the first time in many decades, I'm talking decades, plural, you had no shootings on July 4th, although there are some reports that say somebody might have been shot at 11:46 p.m. and delivered to the hospital at 1:30 a.m. the next day. So maybe there was one. It doesn't look like there was any. The numbers of Chicago have actually risen from 52 to 55. It's horrible, and it's truly horrible how so many Black Americans and people of color are forced to live in constant states of fear. We had a story out of Canada where a young man who engaged in a school shooting was found not guilty because he argued that his part of town in Toronto was like living in Iraq, and that's why he carried a gun to school. We have, as a nation, sort of collectively under this nonsense of crime enforcement, police enforcement increases crime by perpetuating the cycle. We have this new reform by abandonment. We have abandoned so many urban, poor Americans, largely people of color, to being just besieged by awful crime because apparently we're afraid of making cops do their damn jobs and actually locking criminals up before it gets to this point.
Charles, mainstream America, the power structure of America, abandoned the Black communities, the ghettos that they set up hundreds of years ago. They've never, ever made the ghettos in poor areas of America a top priority for safety and protection of its citizens. One thing we never want to talk about, including our famous Black-loving Democratic Party, who wants us to believe that our Democratic elected officials who love Black people so much have never, ever call for gun control when there's mass violence and mass shootings in the Black community. But whenever there's a mass shooting in a suburban, affluent
That's
white
not true.
neighborhood or a mass shooting somewhere else in America, you have Democrat elected officials who come forth and say, we need gun control, we need gun control. But where are those same elected officials when the gun violence is at an all-time high in the Black community? You don't see them because they don't care about young African-American men shooting and killing one another. Even mainstream media don't report the acts of gun violence within the Black community like it should, getting to the root of the problem. Do you think it's an accident, Charles, that these young men in our community, Black people, Black young men, brown young men, are walking the streets with military-style assault weapons and assault rifles when not a single gun manufacturing plant is in any Black poor area in America? Not a single gun distribution plant is in any Black poor brown area in America. We don't produce no bullets. We don't produce no weapons. We don't manufacture these weapons in our community, but our communities are flooded with these weapons. Why don't now the United States government, both houses, Republican and Democrats, say we're going to hold gun manufacturers responsible for where these guns go? And the minute they start holding gun manufacturing companies and distribution companies accountable for where their guns go and whose hands they fall into, we will see the mass shootings inside of inner cities of America go down. You brought up Mayor Eric Adams. I'm not too familiar with everything he's doing, but if he has reduced gun violence and violence in his city like he has, I know a lot of Democrats are angry with him because they feel like he accepted a pardon from Donald Trump, which I believe was a sham prosecution anyway. To hell with that. If Mayor Eric Adams has done such a good job in reducing violence, I call on the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Philly, and other areas affected by gun violence, meet with that brother, talk with that brother, have a conference with that brother, and whatever solutions he implemented that you can reproduce and apply in your cities, do so. The hell with what a political party thinks about that. The survival and safety of our people is more important.
Well, I mean, you began just with absolute fabulism, right? Brandon Johnson, who is the African-American mayor of Chicago right now, has called for gun control for years. In fact, he was a centerpiece, a center plank of his campaign that led to his election.
But he never said punish them, though, those manufacturers.
There's a number of Democrat politicians that call for gun control in the wake of shootings. In fact, your characterization of the media is completely false, right? Right now, at this time in America, and this has been going on since policy changes in media organizations over a decade ago, is if there are shootings that involve Black people killing Black people, which are, I think the latest numbers are 97%, right, of murders of African Americans are committed by other African Americans, right? That of course, that is ignored, right? And the argument for ignoring that is, well, it produces narratives that are uncomfortable, right? So what do they platform, right? They platform.
I said the same thing. I said they're ignored.
White
I said
when a white person kills someone and they can blame racism or whatever they want, right? We just had an arrest. We've just had a judge finally agree to prosecute a Black man who shot 5 white people for absolutely no reason back in 2016 and has been incompetent since then. We don't hear about those stories at all out of St. Louis. There's just not what our media appetite is they're not interested in crime unless they can blame the whitey, right? And the truth about crime in America, which is why so many law-abiding, rule-following African Americans, which are the overwhelming majority of Black people in America, right, are law-abiding, rule-following Americans, right? While so many of them live under the boot of oppressive criminality, of violent criminality, to the point where you have TikTok kids putting up videos trying to walk through their neighborhoods with an empty PS5 box or a backpack filled with fake money just to film how many times they get robbed, right? It's that insane, right? But we don't talk about it because they don't talk
Charles,
about
if
crime.
you
And shootings in
walk
America,
through
you want to
any
blame the
ghetto
gun
or
manufacturers? Let me finish this
impoverished
last point and I'll let you talk.
on
The gun
earth with a
manufacturers in
backpack
America,
full of money,
if you
you're gonna
look
get
at the
robbed,
Asian
Charles.
and white
No matter what the race
populations
of
in
that community
America,
is, Charles.
we are safer than almost all European countries that don't allow their citizens to arm themselves despite having access to guns.
But we're
So
the
what's
only country
problem, Quanell?
in the Western Hemisphere that has as many guns as any other nation on earth. We have more guns in America than any other nation on earth. So why are we not holding those manufacturers accountable for such poor areas?
Because it's not, first of all, you have the Second Amendment, and it's not the guns killing people, it's people killing people. And when you look at who's doing the killing, it's pretty stark. So
but
much
these
like
guns
the person,
are not
why don't we start looking at culture? Because it's not skin color. It's not skin color at all, right?
So
like your skin color has zero impact on your decision making, right? On your abilities as a human being.
Areas in America.
When you look at crime statistics, it's glaring and awful. And I get the Democrats are trying to pretend that it's us white guys that are the problem, but the math doesn't match, Quanell.
In America are killed by other white people. Just like the majority of black people are killed by other black people.
But the number of killings, lay it down. So black men are about 6.5%, 7% of the population, and they were responsible for over 50% of the murders and over 80% of the robberies in this country, the aggravated robberies, right? Now, racists use those realities and try to blame all black men for it, which is an obscene, disgusting thing, right? But if we don't talk about the truth, right? If we don't talk about who's committing these crimes and how we address them, and then they don't get addressed. So you want to talk about mayors? Let's talk about Rudy Giuliani, who is a caricature of his old self, a shell of a man, right? But Rudy Giuliani took over New York when it was at its very worst and no one was safe. And he said, we are going to do broken windows policing. We are going to police neighborhoods that have bad crime and make people safer. And that's what he did.
You got to address the influx of illegal weapons in those communities. Where are all of these illegal weapons coming from in the hood like this, Charles? This overflowing
are buying them and selling them,
at the same time,
then getting slapped on the wrist.
They have no jobs.
This criminal
they have
justice
no real
reform
jobs in the city.
of just letting people do whatever they want.
Making a meaningful living wage in these areas of the black community and poor brown areas. Until we address real poverty, have a real war on poverty, and get those illegal guns out of the community and hold gun manufacturers accountable, responsible for where those guns go, like you do parents. When a parent's son get a hold to a gun and go commit a mass shooting, they putting parents in prison now. Well, how about we put a law in place that hold these gun manufacturers in place about where those guns.
If they lawfully sold them to someone who then illegally transferred them, they didn't do anything wrong, right? And that's the thing. You're pushing. You notice how I shut up and let you talk for a minute, right? So when you're pushing your dishonest, it's why you interrupt, because you lie, right? You're pushing your narrative, which is, oh, it's the poverty. But the stats say poverty doesn't seem to impact the crime rates when you break it down by racial demographics. So it's not the poverty, it's not the gun manufacturers, it's a culture that embraces crime. And that's not black culture, because most black people get up and go to work and just want to live in a safe America. But there is a gangster culture that is a parasite in this nation.
You mean John Gotti?
At some point,
you mean
we need to say, hey, this is bad.
You mean Lucky Luciano? You mean Bugsy Siegel?
Oh, okay.
You mean the Genovese crime family? Yeah. You mean the Gambino crime family?
Right.
You mean
the mafia?
Family?
The mafia wasn't embraced.
About gangster culture.
People looked at them like criminals, not like celebrities.
They look at white gangster mafia families as celebrities.
Sure.
Not on my watch. We are not doing this no more. We've had enough. So, if you haven't heard, recently Carnival Cruise has updated their policies, rules, and regulations on their current and future trips. So, let's start off hot. That drinking package, the all you can drink, yeah, gonna get rid of that. Sneaking that liquor in that wine bottle or that Listerine bottle, yeah, cut that out, because they checking anything and everything that's a liquid coming on board. They open it up, they make you open it on the spot. No more sneaking no more. No more all you can drinks. They getting tired of it. That little speaker that you was planning on bringing, Yeah, don't. They taking any and every speaker that they find, they confiscating. Then you're gonna get it back after the cruise. But in the meantime, while you on there will be no outside music other than theirs. Playing rap in the club, it's out of there. They're not doing that no more. All right. They said we causing too much problems. But honestly, I don't really think it's the rap music. I think it's the liquor and the rap music, because I've done all I needed to explain. Thinking you about to fight on that cruise ship and head back to your room like nothing happened? Yeah, pack it up. You're getting left at the next port, buddy, old pal.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Well, apparently Carnival Cruise Line has decided to strengthen its policies to police certain behaviors that's really making the trips and vacations of law-abiding citizens, good patrons, good citizens on board, customers, making the trip really uncomfortable, felt unsafe, and just troubling environments. And many are saying that they're targeting Black people. I would really like to see if they're targeting no rap music being played, because if they're targeting no rap music in particular, then to me that would be racist. But if they're targeting music that's heavy metal music, certain country artists who like to curse and use profane language in their music, as long as hip hop, okay, I'm fine. If they want to create more of a family environment dealing with all music, I'm cool with that. But I think it's a wonderful idea to start policing the drinking policy on these ships. All you can drink. Well, hell, that was a recipe for bad behavior. All you can drink, you got all you can drink line like a buffet line. You should have known that was going to create problems. So changing that policy, I don't really see things about race. I think it's about creating a more safer environment and a more pleasurable experience for those customers who are not getting drunk, who are doing the right thing, because obviously this behavior is affecting their bottom line.
Well, I mean, obviously it's affecting the bottom line, and it's a byproduct, again, of social media exposing a lot of things that businesses thought they could hide for years. Just about 3 weeks ago, a video broke of a father with his 2 young daughters, Caucasian father's 2 young daughters, trying to get into a pool, but instead there was an older couple that looked to be in their late 50s, early 60s, of a different race, engaged in what looked like fornication in the style of the canine, right? And we've all seen video
the canine,
video after video
doggy
after
style
video of brawls on Carnival Cruise.
You mean
line.
doggy style?
On yeah, I was trying not to say that word.
I said for you, doggy style.
But in a public pool during the day, when kids were trying to get into it, right? And we've all seen, and you can pretend that you haven't, but we've all seen all of these fights, these fight video after fight video, just like the fight video at the airport after fight. There's a new airport fight video that came out today. There seems to be a commonality, right? One that you're completely and willfully ignoring and to engage in being obtuse. And that has impacted Carnival's bottom line. So there's zero doubt that this wasn't racially driven, right? Like, I love rap music, but the decision to no longer play rap music, obviously the people behind it think it will impact these issues and mitigate these issues. And we can pretend the issues aren't the issues, but the issues are the issues, right? And again, who is the one suffering, right? It's the rule following patrons, both Black and white, who have paid good money to go on a vacation just to watch and sometimes be caught up in these fisticuffs, these fights, the just all around horrible behavior. And it's not like there aren't cruises that are just for adults, right? It's not like there's not sexually charged vacation destinations in the Caribbean that are just for adults, where adults could do adult stuff. But Carnival's problem is that it presents itself as a family-friendly vacation where people can like ride go-karts and go on water slides and do all this fun stuff. And while there's also some adult things to do like casinos and drinking and nightclubs and all that. And it's all turned into this horrible, horrible reality that people are just sick of dealing with. People are fatigued by it.
And you don't think people are saying. And you don't think having an unlimited drink policy per patron is the root of that problem?
Well, no, I don't think it's the root of the problem. I think there are just a bunch of people that think they don't have to follow rules and it's okay to punch people and hit people.
So
and
you-
now they've changed it to just 15 drinks a day. That's still enough to
15
get people
Now,
drunk.
think about that. 15 drinks a day. Them people lying their behinds off. They're not trying to change nothing. You gonna give somebody 15 drinks in one day on a cruise ship when they ain't got nothing else to do but get drunk? 15 drinks a day. That's war. I mean, they're peeing on the people's leg, telling them it's rain.
No, I mean, they're
They
clearly
gotta
they're
still-
having
they don't
other
want to
rules.
change that drink
They're
policy. You know why
implementing
they
a
don't?
curfew for under 18, right?
It's
They're
money,
not
Charles.
allowing people to use Bluetooth.
It's money, Charles.
Let's pretend like we're not living in this America where people are just playing Bluetooth speakers everywhere or got stuff on their phones and their iPads in public
Charles,
places and restaurants, right?
you really believe
They're trying to control the people that act.
policy is about? You don't think that drink policy is about money? Because if they're now,
I think it's about that they are
you gonna
tired
pay for the rest of it.
seeing
It's about money.
videos of people acting like monsters on Carnival Cruises, right?
That's
and then you
social
want to
media's
talk about it
influence.
being racial.
That's the
but
impact of social
problem is,
media.
all of the videos, every one you find, has a commonality that you don't want to discuss, right?
Well, what is that
And then
commonality?
Racists want to
What is
blame
it?
black people.
What's the
but no,
commonality?
what we need to do is blame all the people that just think rules don't apply to them. That
But
just
who you
think their
talking
life
about?
is a perpetual grievance.
But who are
and
you
that
talking
they should
about?
be able to act however they want
Who are
because
you
they're
talking about?
spoon-fed the nonsense. I'm talking about the black Americans on those cruises behaving poorly. I'm not talking about all the black Americans that get up every day and work hard.
I want to say this to you.
You
I
ignore,
wanna say this to
right?
you.
That are the ones suffering from crime every day.
This ain't black
Like
people.
We were talking about
It's
shootings.
white
Well,
people
gun
on those cruise
manufacturers,
ships
we need to
doing
be
the
able to
same
sue 'em.
thing.
It's the
It's
poverty.
white people with bad behavior
please,
getting
let's
drunk
talk about
on
white people. The
cruise
white
ships
people
doing
I
the
don't
same
see
thing.
on those
It's
videos
white
ever.
people doing
Go
the same
ahead.
thing. You just don't really like black people, and you
No,
let
I
it
love
come
black
out just
people,
then.
right?
You just let it
love
come
black
out
people.
how you
I
really
don't
feel and
love
what you really think
anyone
about black
that thinks
people.
rules
Because
don't
white people
apply to
acting
them,
bad
right?
too.
Like you. You don't think
It's
rules
white people
apply to you,
acting
right? You
bad
think
too,
that you live
Charles.
this life of perpetual grievance where you've been put upon since birth, despite being wealthy and rich and enjoying everything that America has to offer. You still
Charles.
come on here and bitch every
Charles.
day and pretend
Because
that the people
no
that
black
do the
man
bad things
is
shouldn't be
bigger or
responsible
better than
just
the
because of their
condition
skin
of his
color.
people.
White people
No
do crap.
black man or
I
woman
think lock
is
them
more
up. If
important
white
than the
people are
condition of
behaving
his other
badly
people.
and you want to change policies to make it better, do it, right?
That's it for the Face-Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.